A very pleasant good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Magandang umaga po, magandang tanghali, magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Wherever you're located and whatever time zone you're at, this is your hour and I'm Rita Gadi. This afternoon, our title for the program is A Pandemic of Politicians. And I am so honored to have with us again my partner and my very good friend, all the way from Mindanao, but now residing temporarily in Quezon City. One of the finest minds that we can find this side of the planet, not just this side of our country. My good friend, HOMOBONO, ADAZA. Bono, good afternoon.
Well, good day to everyone and good day to you as well.
Yeah, okay. So as I said,
correct title, the pandemic of
politicians. But let's get back to where I got these words. Pandemic is a Greek word. Actually, it is pandemica in a way. That was how it was in the original Greek. And what does it mean? Of or belonging to all people. It is something that occurs over a wide range geographically, and it covers an area that affects an exceptionally high proportion of the population. It is also something that we refer to as an outbreak, like a disease, like the malaria outbreak or the high fever, whatever it is. It's a disease. It's an outbreak, and then it covers an unusually large area. The extent and the intensity and the severity of that disease is something that is why it is called a pandemic. So it's from the original Greek word pandemica, pandemicus, pandemica. Now we come to politician. Politician comes again from another Greek word, which means, well, the original Greek word is politika. And the first meaning it has actually is a shrewd and crafty schemer. That is the original Greek not interpretation, but the Greek meaning of the politika, politician, politicus. A crafty, shrewd schemer. Then, of course, we go to the second meaning, which is already what we find in our English dictionary. And it says there, a skilled or experienced person in politics. And politics can be described as the art or the science of dealing with the regulation and the control of men living in a community or in a society. So
it's really a pandemic.
Yes, that is the politician. When we combine these two words, that is the situation we have today in our country, in the world, and problems they're having in the biggest and powerful country of the United States of America, in the European Union, and several other countries, Africa, Middle East, and wherever located. That is where you have a pandemic of politicians. Now let's get back to the local scene. And my good friend Bono ADAZA has been spewing out a lot of wisdom when it comes to talking and writing and analyzing exactly what's happening today. Well, the most important position for the May 2022 elections is, of course, the office of the president. Yung vice president, spare tire lang ngayon. And then after that, you have the higher officials in the Senate, and then you have the 320 representatives of several districts and party lists, and then, of course, the local officials. But let's concentrate as we go down the line with the office of the president, where, as Bono has already announced, there are 97 of our countrymen who filed their certificates of candidacy wanting to become the president of our republic. Ano, Bono? Ang ganda, ano? Ang dami.
It's really a pandemic because in the olden days in this country, the candidates for president are virtually limited to two, liberal or nationalist. At the beginning in even in 46, there were only two parties, Rita, coming from one party, Nationalista Party, conservative wing, Osmeña, Nationalist Party, liberal wing, Manuel Rojas, And then after the victory of Rojas, the liberal wing became the Liberal Party. So normally, in the olden days, there were only two candidates for president. And the two candidates for president normally are qualified persons within the context of the system. No? Like Rojas against Osmeña, very much qualified to be president within the context of the system. Then there is Quirino as against Magsaysay, also qualified. And then later, Garcia. And then Macapagal. And then there's Marcos, of course. And then after Marcos, I'm afraid there was a deterioration in the qualification for president. As a matter of fact, the presidents after Marcos, with possible exception of one, made the presidency a joke. Yes, because I want to discuss it with no offense to those who are dead or alive. With respect to Corazon Aquino, I'm just talking about what really happened. When Cory became president, and the discussion of the opposition about Corazon Aquino is TWA. I know, as a matter of fact, during the campaign in the snap elections, TWA. What is TWA? It's not Trans World Airways. Talaga walang alam.
Oh my goodness.
One who knows nothing. That was the discussion. And I had a difficult time defending Cory Aquino since I was one of the avid supporters of Cory Aquino. Okay. Then Cory became president. And truly, what the opposition to Cory was saying about TWA became a reality. Talaga, walang alam. That's why it's probably one of the worst national government in the history of this country. But it had competition. Ramos is a little better than Cory because the qualifications are quite outstanding, no? West Point, etc., University of the Philippines, and all that. But after Ramos, by God, they really dishonored the presidency. Yeah, dishonored the presidency because they were attacking Marcos on graft and corruption. The graft and corruption with Cory and the others were overwhelming. One even got convicted for plunder. A president convicted of plunder. And there was a president when asked during an interview in Baguio about his love life, he said, she has plenty. You know, these types, I don't know where these people came from. And then after that, there is Asperger syndrome. The one who even lost in the computer games to his autistic nephew.
May his soul rest in peace, Bono.
Yeah, yes. I said no offense, man. Yeah. No, all of them. I'm just making analysis of what really happened in the past. And the present, I don't have to say anything. I only say res ipsa loquitur. The thing speaks for itself. I think the presidency has really gone down the drain in a sense. And now, 97, you know, Rita, there's a security guard who's running for president because he thinks he's more qualified to secure the country from invaders and from rebels. Oh, there is a garbage collector who said he can be a better president because he will collect the garbage of all these public officials, politicians, the oligarchs, and even the garbage also of our people. We really have gone down.
Literally.
Yes, literally we have really gone down. It's not figurative. It's really literal. Now, Senate, there are only 12 seats for the Senate. You know how many are running? 137. Por Dios. 137. You know. No. 8 seats only. Yeah. Not 12. 8 seats. And there are 137. In the old days, if you see for 8 seats, if you see 16 or 24 running for the Senate, that's not only weird, it's a miracle. But now 137 want to become senators of the realm. That's why in my column, in my latest column, I defined at the final end what should be the program of a president. Because based on what Henry Kissinger said, one of the best secretaries of state in the United States of America, that a man who becomes president but does not know how to be president, to be in the first day of office, he will never learn until the end of his term. These people are playing serious jokes with our people. They think that they should have an on-the-job training. The presidency is not for on-the-job training. As a matter of fact, the presidency skirts the fringes of divinity. Because the functions
the fringes of divinity. That's a beautiful phrase.
Of divinity. Because the functions of a president is to decide on issues simple and complex for millions of people. In our case, 110 million Filipinos. Imagine one person deciding on the basic policies of government, the one who interprets the Constitution, unless the Supreme Court intervenes because what he says is not correct. But basically, in the laying down of policies, that's in the hands of presidents. In the preserve and defend the Constitution, that's in the oath of office under Section 5, Article 7 of the Constitution. Many of these people don't really integrate into their system the Constitution because, the Constitution, this is the longest Constitution in the history of the country. It's like a code. Constitution should be brief in form, yes, broad in scope, and clear in meaning. Our Constitution is comparable to the Constitution of China, People's Republic of China, and Russia, because it's lengthy, but is more honored by lack of performance. It's not honored, it's dishonored. That's what's happening.
You have to understand how large China is, how large the population of China is.
Yes.
And of course, the Soviet Union was the Union of Soviet republics.
Yeah, the Union of Soviet Republics.
Yes, it's still the
but
biggest.
Their constitution is also very lengthy, Rita. Yeah. I've studied their constitution. By gum, their constitution is lengthy, just like ours, more honored by lack of observance. That's why we really should conduct a serious educational campaign in all levels. Mainstream media, social media, all organizations in this country, including the government. The COMELEC should conduct a serious educational campaign for our leaders and our people, not just the people, the leaders. It's prohibited to buy votes. The leaders are the one buying votes.
Yeah, exactly. More importantly,
it's prohibited to buy votes. The voters are selling their votes. They should learn basic lessons.
Bono, we're a little
in constitutionalism and democracy.
Yeah, exactly. We're a little out of time when it comes to having to teach and to having to educate our people. This should have been done from day one. When was this? Maybe high school and college, when that should really start.
Not only in elementary school, Rita, because the Constitution should be simple. It's clear in meaning. Meaning, it should be short. It should even memorize. It is designed for simpletons. It's not designed for lawyers, judges, highly educated people with PhD. School people, PhD, master's degree, and all kinds of degrees.
Exactly. So as
but
you were
we
saying,
are subjected to third degree by the politicians.
As you were saying, Bono, the candidates for the office of the presidency, which is the highest position of the land, should have sufficient knowledge with the implementation of the Constitution, the execution of the Constitution. But then again, that is a question which perhaps our people do not bother to ask, whether the candidates, whose hands are being presented to the public are actually qualified as far as that is concerned. I will just go over the names that we know who have filed their certificates of candidacy. This is outside of the 97. There are several others. So here we have one of the first actually was Panfilo Lacson. And then you had Isko Moreno, Isko Damagoso Moreno, Lenny Robredo, Manny Pacquiao, Bato de la Rosa, Bongbong Marcos, and of course, the head of the KDP, Butch Valdez. So you have there, these are the names actually that we come across with or we have heard being broadcast on television, and we have seen them, as a matter of fact. It is not for us to digest or to understand the qualifications of these people, but we are here to talk about what kind of government these people intend to present to us. In other words, when they speak and when they stand there, can we understand what it is they want to do with us, all 110 million of us? As a matter of fact, as Bono was saying, they should have already on the first day a working strategy of how to run the government, how to manage the government. But then again, most of what happens is they have it's a strange phrase they use, the honeymoon period. 100 days daw muna bago siya i-judge kung talagang meron siyang karapatan na maging pamuno. But why? Why give him a leeway of 100 days? As you said, day one should start. But I think that's a little too late. I think now they should start. When they stand, either if it's virtual, by Zoom, or the social networking, wherever they are, kasi limitado na yung mga rally. Can you imagine you hold the rally for 50 people? I mean, my goodness. Or you'll have Zoom. How much can be contained in your little screen? I mean, if you have about 20 people there, masikip na, you cannot even see the faces anymore. So this will really be through social networking. You will see them once in a while. Maybe they will have 3 minutes or 5 minutes. I don't know how the COMELEC is going to write its regulations. They will control it. Gaano katagal yung pwede silang lumabas ng kanilang advertisement sa social networking? 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Alam mo yung 3 minutes, mabilis na yon. 5 minutes, boring na yon. So in 5 minutes, anong masasabi nila? How can we be able to gauge whether this person or the names that I mentioned are qualified to run a government of 110 million Filipinos? So sabi nga ni Bono, this is a scandalous kind of a political situation we're in. Asa kolum mo yun, Bono. Why is it scandalous? Okay, sabi ni Bono, nung unang panahon, you have to consider our age, Bono and I, because as I've said, I brag about the fact that I was on television doing coverages of the office of the president. But prior to that, they say that I covered the landing of Magellan. So talagang matagal na. Our historical background is a little long. And you might wonder where we're coming from. But Bono already mentioned this. When we started our political life, there were just 2 parties. Well, first it was just one, tapos dalawa. That is crucial, na meron kang partido. Noon, sabi nga ni Bono, nasyonalista at liberal. So yung sinasabi nung isa, nilalabanan nung isa para magpresenta na mas magaling sila. Today, my goodness, we have a salad of it's a mixture, halo-halo ng mga political party. Pag hindi makasundo, gagawa ng
Cebuano, ginamos.
Sagol-sagol. Di ba sagol? Lahat, it's all mixed up. So you cannot distinguish anymore. But you see, Bono is mentioning that because that is exactly how the system works. Para makita mo yung contrast. Isang partido, ito ang kanilang nilalabas. Yung isang partido yan, ang galing ka mamimili. Now, you're not choosing the parties. You don't even know. Do you know the parties of these people? Panfilo Lacson, Reforma. Saan galing yung Reforma? Galing pa kay, another politician before who also wanted this party. Si Isko Moreno, saan siya nang galing din? Yung partido ni Raul Roco noon. You know, all of this are coming from different supposedly political parties. We go back to what Bono said, sayang na nag-disintegrate talaga yung ating political system. Kaya ngayon, ang pinipili natin, tao, hindi yung partido. hindi yung partido na nagdadala ng plataforma ng pamahalaan. Okay, Bono, from there, you could see how this hodgepodge of candidates are going to confuse our people even more. It is a pandemic. It is some kind of a disease that is so widespread and so severe that we need an antidote to be able to sort out which of these candidates have some beneficial, program for us that can heal us, that can cure us from the evils that are actually pervading today. Yan ang pandemya. And the politician, as I described to you earlier, sino ba yan? A schemer, a shrewd schemer. Naku po. Kaya titingnan ninyo, yan ba isa wag nang sabihin na traditional. Anong klaseng politiko? Meron ba yan pagmamahal sa bayan? This phrase, much abused, always repeated, for God, country, and people. Ang galing sabihin, hindi naman natutupad yan. Exactly.
Alam mo, Rita, mass media and all organizations should be asking all the candidates certain questions. First, what is your vision of the country? What is the vision in specific terms? I'm sure they will ask, are you asking me about television instead of vision? Vision of the country, what's your concept of the kind of country that we're going to have? Their problem is they want to operate within the system. So that's the country they want to have. They are not thinking outside the box. All of them are thinking inside the box. And the box, Rita, is dark. There is no light in the box.
And it is sealed.
Yes, everybody is blind inside the box. That's why the presidents we elect are people who are one-eyed. Because in the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed is king. Somebody should present a vision that's outside the box. Because outside the box, there's light. You see everybody. You are answerable to everybody. Inside the box, you're only answerable to yourself. So that's the first question. What is your vision of the country? Okay. One of our main problems in this land is justice system. What is your concept of a justice system that you want to establish in the Philippines? Are you going to operate within the context of the present system where cases are decided in 10 to 15 years going up to the Supreme Court, even on very simple cases? What's your view on that? I think we should ask them that question. And then the third question that should be asked, are you contented with the present unitary presidential system? Or are you going out to a federal parliamentary system? Okay, so you want a federal parliamentary system. Why are you wanting a federal and parliamentary system? In specific terms, what's your federal system? Are you going to have a federal system as recommended to have 18 states? No. A federal system must be a lean and clean government. Lean and clean. And my proposal there, I'll ask them about this. You know, the best divisions of this country is the 13 regions during the time Marcos. That was well studied. 13. Now expanded to about 18. This is gerrymandering to satisfy the demands of certain politicians. No. This is not a country of politicians. This is a country of our people. And then parliamentary system. Why parliamentary system? You know, as of the moment, we have a Congress of 298 congressmen and 24 senators. My God, we are paying 322 members of Congress. You don't need that. Most of them do not even know the difference between the Constitution and constipation. They don't know that, really. And I mean it seriously. So we limit a unicameral parliament to 39 members, 3 from each region, each state. So the best and the brightest who know about constitutions, lawmaking, the problems of the country are the ones who are elected. And these are the people who elect the prime minister, who runs the government. Normally, the prime minister is the primus inter pares, the best among
The
equals.
best among the equals.
Yes, the best among equals, primus inter pares. In Britain, Winston Churchill, my God. Margaret Thatcher. In Canada, Trudeau, father and son. They know their business. New Zealand, a wonderful woman, Jacinda Ardern, well-run country. I wish to go there one of these days. And then Australia, also a parliamentary system. And I think Germany is federal and also parliamentary. You know, this is the best type because we're an archipelago. It should not be uni-centered in Manila. Everything is done in Manila. Why is that? You know, we are through with foreign colonizers. Now we have colonizers coming from Manila. They colonize the whole country as if everything belongs to Metro Manila. That's not the case. We should disperse the powers of government to the different regions. And we should have a lean and intelligent parliament. And when there is any issue of corruption, the prime minister resigns. He doesn't have to commit harakiri like in Japan. No? He just resigns. And then the new government.
Just a vote of no confidence. Yeah.
Unlike here, you cannot impeach the president. Maybe you can impeach, but you cannot convict. We cannot convict. Even the United States, Trump was twice impeached, but he was not convicted. It's difficult to convict because you need 2/3 vote of the Senate. So we should see to it that we will govern. And what is the program? You know, this country, like New Zealand, like Canada, should be a welfare state, where those who have less in life should have more in law. Why should people live like animals? My God, in very dismal, horrendous conditions. We should see to it that our people live like us. Not a great difference between the oligarchs, the rich, the poor, and the middle class is going down to the poor instead of going up to the oligarchs and the rich. That's why we should have a welfare state in this country. And these are the things that we should be discussing during the time of the campaign. And then we educate also the presidential candidates. Okay, what are you going to do with respect to national development? According to President George Bush, the richest country in the world, the richest country in the world is the Philippines. We have titanium, we have uranium, we have deuterium, all kinds of irium. We have them here. You know, all the ores in the Mendeleev scale are in the Philippines. Why are we allowing foreigners to develop these things? We should be able to develop these things. You know, this country is very rich. Yamashita, the Yamashita treasures is defined that in terms of billions of dollars. It's defined in trillions of dollars. Why are we not able to recover the trillions of dollars? They're wondering about the money of Marcos all over the world. Basically, that comes from Yamashita. And his genius in dealing with the United States, where he lent part of the Yamashita to the United States to strengthen the reserve, and the United States in return asked Marcos to print dollars corresponding to what has been lent to the United States of America. Now, what are the presidents doing about this? I have about 8 to 10 clients who are the trustees of the president. They have deposits all over the place and fully documented. In China, you know, the banks in China are swimming with these funds. Japan, United States, and we are borrowing money from these countries. You know, they are using our money to enrich themselves at our expense. A good president knows how to do it. I'll teach them how to do it.
Coming from you, Bono, I think we should repeat this because the opposition against the son of Marcos, they're all saying that Marcos stole the money of the Filipino people, you know. And that is why I've always talked about documents and documents and documents. And here you are saying the documents on this Yamashita treasures, which have already been converted into the documents that could be able to be used for our country, is just lying there. So we'll have another. We'll discuss that further later on, Bono. Let's get back to our. That's very interesting. But that, at least for those of us,
these are the things that should be done by the president.
Yes, and
but they are dense.
Yeah, should realize this. Bono ADAZA, just in case, ang dami kasing namimintas parati ngayon. But I would just want to give a background, just a very brief background. Bono ADAZA was in the opposition against Ferdinand Marcos during the snap elections of 1986. Many of those opposing the son of Marcos were not even born yet at the time, or perhaps they were toddlers. But Bono was the one who kept on objecting to certain results of the Board of Canvassers, because then Parliament was in charge the way it is now as the electoral tribunal for the president and the vice president. But in spite of all the asterisk and objections, when the final tally came about, Marcos still won by 1 million votes, be that as it may. Now, as Bono was saying, what happened was there was a big deterioration of our government after President Marcos. He was supporting Cory Aquino. To his regret, it became a TWA, TWA. So for whatever that may be worth, we still have not just the remnants, but we have the whole line of those who believe that if you stand by what it was in 1986 with the EDSA power, etc., you are doing right by the Filipino people. And that's exactly what we have to bring about now. We have to consider the fact of what Bono was saying.
And Rita,
yes.
The other question that should be asked, we should ask them, who are going to be members of your cabinet?
Important, very important.
Who are the members of the cabinet? Who are going to be your advisors? We should know. You know, my father used to tell me, and he's a legendary mayor of our town for about 20 years, tell me who are your companions and I'll tell you who you are. You know, if the members of the cabinet have records of being crooks, the presidential candidate must also be a crook. There's no doubt about it. If the records of their members of the cabinet that they will enumerate are immoral, there is no doubt that the presidential candidate is immoral. Because why should he be getting? If the members of the cabinet they will conscript are incompetent, then the presidential candidate is also incompetent. We should ask them those questions. Media should ask them those questions. Who is going to be your Secretary of Justice? What can your Secretary of Justice do about illegal drugs? Can he do it in 6 months, 12 months, 12 years? Can he do it? These are questions that graft and corruption. You say you will terminate graft and corruption. What is your timeline? You have only 6 years term. What's your timeline? What is the methodology that you will adopt in eliminating graft and corruption, since this is deeply rooted in this country? These are questions that should be asked of these people. There are motherhood statements all the time. By God, anybody can make motherhood statements. I will wage war against poverty. I will eradicate graft and corruption. I will bring better life to our people. No. Give us the specifics of what you will do. That's what is necessary.
That's a very good point that you raised, Bono. Who are going to be the members of your cabinet? As your father was saying, and it's an old quotation, birds of the same feather, flock together. Yeah, tell me who your friends are. Tell me who are sitting with you from the time that you have acquired or you've obtained public office. And from there, we can already gauge. And it is for the candidate to say, ito ang kukunin ko na Secretary ng Agriculture, ito, si ganito, si ganito. So from there, we could see the strength of the government that we will be having should this particular candidate win. Bono mentioned something about how important it is to have only 13 regions, which he said was already delineated during the time of President Ferdinand Marcos. I just want to give a brief background on this. Our country was not divided into regions prior to President Marcos. We just had provinces and cities and all. Then he decided to do a geo-mapping of our country into regions so that certain provinces grouped together will comprise one region. The beginning of this was the Metro Manila Commission at the time, MMC or Metro Manila, yes, authority at the time, which was the National Capital Region of 13 towns only and 5 cities at that time. Now we have all of these members of the Metro Manila Commission as cities, except for Valenzuela. But 50 years ago, that was the beginning. So if you could have the National Capital Region composed of 13 towns and cities, then you could have other provinces also comprised of a region. How were they delineated? Well, there was a NEDA, the national, it is not even the NEDA yet. The NEDA was formed after. You had the National Development Authority and several agencies that looked into the soil, the type of soil, the number of forests, the number of volcanoes, the number of, the kind of weather, the kind of products that can be produced, the topography, mountains, etc., if rivers, all of this formed part of particular provinces that could be grouped together, including the demographics of the presence of the population at the time and the projection, the actuarial projection of how the people will be giving birth at a certain rate. So there you have the grouping of these provinces into regions. They were well designed. They were well thought of, exactly as Bono was saying. And then we had the 13 regions. So yun ang sinasabi niya. Kasi yan talagang pinagsikapan na aralin kung ano ang meron sa mga probinsya na yan na pinagsama-sama sa. It's not just a carefree whim that you would have one region. No, they were very well thought of and researched, and all the important demographics of that particular region put together. So that is where we will have the representation. And we already had the parliament then also under President Marcos. First, we had the interim Batasang Pambansa. It was interim, transitioning from, because Congress was no longer convened when martial law was declared. So it was a transitioning from what it was in Congress before to an interim parliament. And then a regular elections happened for the regular Batasang Pambansa. And Bono ADAZA, together with several those in opposition to Marcos, were elected freely to be members of that parliament. And it operated well. As Bono was saying, hindi na kailangan ang dami-dami. Talagang sa legislation lang. Wala na yung mga pidap-pidap, wala na yung mga extracurriculars na hindi naman kailangan talaga ng mga mambabatas. You had the regular parliament. The federal form of government was already in the making, in the process, precisely why we already were regionalized. The reason why there were regions was already in anticipation that eventually we will have a federal form of government, exactly as Bono was describing. I just wanted to elaborate on that. Pero Bono, tama ka. Kailangan talaga malaman natin, I'm screaming already, sa mga kandidato, kung sino yung mga miyembro ng kanilang kabinete. Mahalaga yan. It's so important.
It's very interesting to know who really they are, because I have my serious doubts whether they can even give us half of the names of the members of the cabinet. I even have serious doubts whether they know the functions of the different cabinet positions. I have my serious doubts, with respect to the presidential candidates. With apologies to them, but we have studied them. I just don't come out from out of nowhere conclusions on the types of people we are running. That's why I have set a general rule. In this campaign, it should be between those who are inside the box or those outside the box. And for now, all are inside the box except one, whom I'm watching very seriously. That's why I'm not mentioning his name. I only said the X factor of the game. Now, whether he really will be X factor by the end of November, that's something to see. That's something to see. And if he's the X factor, I will name him. If he's not the X factor, I will not name him. I will not name him.
You put him back in the box.
Yeah, he probably is also probably inside the box also. But you know, I saw his program of action, no? His vision of the country. I don't know, he must have read some column somewhere because the ideas are quite familiar. That's why I said this guy bears watching because he's so different from the others. So different from the others. And that's what we should focus our attention.
Exactly. That's by November, Bono ADAZA will tell us who this X factor is. And I think that I will trust your judgment on this because, my goodness, Bono, we have gone through so many administrations already. You were talking about the time of Rojas, etc., and all of this. Maybe I could remember only as far as Magsaysay in the 1950s and so forth, but it's still a long way back. And then, of course, the 21 years of Marcos, and then the 35 years after him, which, as you described, was really one scandalous administration after the other. But
Correct.
There is one thing that you mentioned first off, Bono, and that is vision. Vision. Alam kaya ng mga kandidato kung anong ibig sabihin ng vision? One. Alam ba natin, tayo mga tao, tayo ang nakakaalam. The vision that we know in layman's term is a dream. It is a future.
Correct.
Panaginip. Ano yung ating ninanais na makita, na makamtan? What is it? It's a dreamscape. Bono had 2 words for this: new horizon, new beginnings. Diba? That was how you
ended. It came out, Rita. That book will be out before December.
New horizons, new beginnings.
I'm doing it now. No, I'm doing it now. Right. Doing the specifics.
But that is exactly it. A vision. So, tatanungin niyo yung kandidato, ano yung kanyang vision? Hanggang saan ang kanyang paniningin? Ang paningin niya is exactly the what is ever in front of him. Yung kondominium na yan na bibigay para sa mga tao na walang bahay. Yung vision niya, makikita niya, ay, ang mga squatter na yan, aayusin ko lahat yan na hindi na squatter. Yung vision niya, yung mga open field, naku, tataniman natin lahat yan para magkaroon ng... The vision goes as far as the eye can see. But a vision is not with the eye. The vision is here between the ears.
Correct.
And that is where sometimes, you know, people do not see enough, or because there is not enough between the ears.
Rita, before the program
it's an abstract. It is an abstract, and an abstract is something that comes out of nothing. What is an abstract? It is like when you say 1 + 1 = 2. Hindi mo nakikita yung 1 na lumulutang at yung isang 1 lumulutang at magdudugso magiging 2. It's an abstract idea, the way science, the way art, and that is what a vision is. It is an abstract idea, but which you are able to translate into words, and those words have a meaning for the people because yun ang kanilang ninanais. Yun ang kanilang panaginip. As exactly what you said. That is the first thing you said, Bono. Vision. Sa lahat ng mga kandidato na ito, meron ba silang sinabi, this is my vision?
My television sila, Rita. My television. But you know, you were asking me a few days ago, and even before the program started, you asked me whether I filed my certificate of candidacy with a great degree of modesty. Great degree of modesty. If the missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle came before October 8, I would have filed. Yes. Because Rita, with a great degree of modesty, if in a debate, they'll ask me, what is my vision? I'll give them my vision of the country. I'll give them the members of the cabinet. I'll give them whom I will consult, if any. No, if any. I will give them timelines on the justice system, the whole content of the educational system, what I will do with the academy, the Philippine Military Academy, what I will do in the different regions. What will I do in my cabinet? Everybody will have a timeline to do. Can you do this in 6 months? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you cannot do it, sign that undated resignation because you have no business being in government. We should all operate within timelines. And if the people cannot perform within the timeline, they have no business being there. They have no business being there. Like foreign affairs, or these are the things that we're going to do. Not only West Philippines, the ASEAN, United Nations, etc., etc. Can it be done in 6 months? If you cannot do it, I'm sorry. I will accept your resignation now, which is undated. It will be dated on the day you're considered resigned. That's the way. Focus. If we focus on the job, I read it somewhere. The men who make a success out of living are those who see their goals steadily and pursue them unswervingly. Yes.
That's already half. Half of the work that you're supposed to do is really having a goal. 50% of where you're going, 50% of what you want to do is really the goal. If you have a goal, and that is the vision precisely.
Rita, just to pursue this a little bit, one of my readers, very intelligent, Ninita Gadwang Ferrer, was asking me, haven't you heard an inner voice telling you to run? I've heard that inner voice a long time ago, but you cannot just run out of running. When you face a battle, the election is like a battle. If you're not prepared to do battle, you can be the best man in the planet. You can have the best vision. You can have the best ideas. You can have the best circle of people who will run the government with you. If you cannot able to go because you are looking for money to pay your plane fare, it's being stupid to run.
That's the reality of it, yes.
But that's the reality. But it does not mean that you and me are not part of the equation. We are a part of the game. And the game is on. And the game is on. So we are not running for any office. We are not running for any office. But we are a serious part of the equation. Yes. People should remember that for the moment we continue to educate our people on the things to do. And when, as Ecclesiastes says, for everything there is a season. Our season might come with the blessings of the divine providence. And in the dreams, the vision that you mentioned, we will accomplish that with our people.
We have not stopped talking, Bono, from way back. We have not stopped writing. We have not stopped broadcasting. And I think that has been what we have been, actually. You and I were together for so long already. We have been talking about elections. We have been talking about candidates. We have been incessantly talking about the kind of reform that we need. We already sent an obituary and a eulogy to common sense that was buried and entombed a long time ago. We tried to revive it with a program we had in a radio station, Sentido Común, which is so uncommon, actually. So remember, we had the program together. And even at that time, Bono and I were already harping on what to do. And you were speaking of qualifications, doctorates, summa cum laudes, and all of these honors. Yan, when you really try to analyze it, all of that put together. But where is it? Where is the most important qualification that a candidate must have, and which he has often forgotten? Kasi yung tibok ng puso niya ay tibok lang para sa puso niya. Hindi ito nagtitibok para sa mga kapwa. That is where it all begins. As they say, Trotsky and Lenin and all of the Che Guevara and many of those that started all of this. Revolutions begin from the heart. And so does reform begin from the heart. So does good management begin from the heart. And that is what you have to look for. You who are listening to us, the voters, kayong mga kabataan, nasaan ang inyong puso? Saan tumitibok yan? Doon sa kasintahan ninyo? Sa mga games ninyo? Sa mobile phone ninyo? Where do you get your excitement? Diyan sa mobile phone? Diyan sa mga commercials? Sa mga artista? Sa mga celebrities? Yan ang mga kandidato ngayon. Mga artista. Yung mga pangalan na parating yung nadidinig. Diyan ba kayo na-excite? Remember, that excitement does not come from those are just mere pleasures. But what is it in your heart? How many of us really get into what our heart really wants? Yun ang mahalaga dyan, Bono. We forget this. That's why you have that cliche, love of country, love God, of country and people. Ano yung love? Saan ang gagaling? Saan ang gagaling yon? These are not just words.
Alam mo, Rita, the heart is defined within the concept of character, of character. When you look at a person, you should be able to determine whether that fellow cares for his fellow human being. I was listening to last Sunday. You know, I go to mass in television.
Yes, that's what we do now.
Yeah, the healing Eucharist, no, SVD. So, this is one priest I like very much. Say John Paul Glenn. And he was saying, AD, the concept of God, of Jesus Christ is AD, attachment to the divine will, to the divine providence, and detachment from properties.
Oh, that was the Anno Domini.
Yeah, you should be. Most people are attached to properties. That's why most of our politicians, they are driven by three major drives, three major greeds. Greed for wealth, greed for power and influence, and greed for sex. By God, ano ba tayo? What's happening to us? What is really happening to us? Is the person truthful? Should be. Is he truthful? Is he honest? Is he loyal? Is he faithful? Is he caring? I mean, these are the things that we should know, because this is what composes character. What compose character. That's why as I keep on mentioning this, Rita, all the time, my legendary father, when wealth is lost, nothing is lost. When health is lost, something is lost. But when character is lost, everything is lost. Everything is lost. And if our presidents do not have character and integrity, meaning integrity to attach to his values, attached to God, country, and people, because that's what integrity means, to be faithful to principles. That's the kind of person who always compromises at the first possible opportunity. No. That's not the guy who should be president of this country. That should not be the leader of this country. We are in need, Rita, of a leader, not just a president. We need a leader. We really need a leader.
We need a leader, not a celebrity. We need a leader.
Yes, you're right. We need a leader, not a politician. We need a leader, not a celebrity. Correct.
But you speak of character. That is
Yes.
actually the face of your soul.
That's correct.
So if we know a person's character, then we will know the face of his or her soul. That is so important, because as we cannot separate just the attributes or the qualifications that the person has with the character of a person. In Tagalog, how do you call it? Sang ugali? Is it ugali? Or how do you call it? But kung ano ang kanyang pagkatao. Maybe that is the term that we have to use. Ano ang pagkatao? It is not that galing ako sa mahirap.
In Cebuano, that is why Batasang. In Cebuano, why Batasang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that I came from poverty.
Meaning no character.
Or naghirap ako, kung kaya kong gawin ito, kaya rin ninyo, etc. No, that is not what qualifies you, or not what qualifies your character. Medyo malalim pero madaling maintindihan, madaling makuha, sapagkat it does not need all the appurtenances and all the decorations and all the
to poverty.
Many of those who say na naghirap kami, etc., and all of this, kaya makakaya natin to and all. Lahat tayo may kakayahan. We were all born with all of these faculties. As Bono said, out of 110 million, there are 100
This is a
million
question,
or so.
because this is from poverty, yes. Rise from poverty. Principled rise from poverty. But unprincipled rise in poverty, that's not a good example. It's not a good example.
But even those born in wealth, I mean, you know, you still have people with character, even though they were born with wealth. So hindi mo rin masasabi na porket mahirap ka o pinanganak kang mayaman na wala kang character o hahanapin pa yan. But it is easily recognizable kung talagang sisiyatin natin. If we will really look deeply into a person.
In a grain of sand.
Yes.
Activity in our.
Yes, indeed. So that is how we have to sort out. Naku, 97 ang kandidato. Yung mga binanggit ko ng mga pangalan, yun lang ang parati siguro natin madidinig. And then we have the way we are going to be introduced to all of these people. Marami dyan, kilala na natin. As I've said, the names are repetitions of other names that we have been hearing in the past. May mga political histories na yan. So it is easy for us, with all the names that I mentioned, to know exactly what they are. But beyond that, as Bono was saying, it's a benchmark elections that we're going to have kasi meron nga tayong malaking na hindi lang hinaharap, andito na yung pandemic ng virus na yan. Tapos ito pa yung pandemic ng mga politicians na ang kanilang hangarin lang ay pangsarili. So if you could look at their names or wherever they're coming from, you have a whole family of the same name. Mayor, congressman, etc. Sila rin yan. Not that we condemn them or say that they're not fit. But then again, siya sa atin talagang mabuti. Let us try to analyze them because whatever happens to them will also affect all of us. So that's important. I'm losing the vision of nawala si Bono sa anyway. So that is where we are coming from, this program that we have, so that we can bring forth exactly what we're looking for as far as these candidates are concerned. We are not endorsing any one of them. Perhaps Bono later on in November will be coming up with what he's looking for, the X factor, so he says. But whatever it is, we will be presenting to you as objectively as we can so that you can make the choices. I have spoken over the past so many years of one administration of which I had the honor and the privilege of serving, which was the office of the President of President Ferdinand Enralin Marcos. Many people have been asking questions about his hidden wealth, about the martial law years, about all of these accusations and human rights violations. But what is important is that we can be having, for instance, a certain platform wherein we can really analyze the good and the bad and remove what is evil and continue with what we have to do, and that is to bring out the truth. I've always said this so many times, the truth is very easy to tell. It is only evil that complicates. I lost the video of Bono, but I hope he can still. Bono, can you still hear me? No, I lost him somewhere, but he has already given us at least his view on the different qualifications that we need. Bono, there you are. I lost you briefly, but I was just trying to summarize exactly as you were saying. And as we said, we are not endorsing any of these presidential candidates as yet. Perhaps there will be enough in social networking for them to be presenting themselves, but we will keep on harping on the general statements of qualifications and what you will have to ask. So Bono, that's how it will go. This pandemic of politicians. Yes, Bono? Oh, anyway, I have Bono's image here, but I don't think he can hear me, and we're just about to close. But before we do, I'd like to go over some of those who've sent in their messages to us, and this is from all over the country and from all over the world. So
the jigsaw puzzle, and I have the jigsaw puzzle complete before me. I will name me.
Okay, I'm having Bono intermittently, but as I've said, let me read over. Adriano Alejandro T. Sales Jr., magandang araw po. My idol, Sir Bono. Conversion sa Longkong. Hello, Ma'am Rita Gadi watching from Binondo, Manila. Ernie Ocampo, magandang hapon po sa inyo, Madam Rita Gadi. Mabuhay po kayo at maraming salamat. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas. To God be the glory. Ad maiorem Dei gloriam. Jean Cavendish, a pandemic of politicians or a scamdemic of politicians, which is which? Obviously, the second one. Thank you for that note. John Cyril Onato, good afternoon, Ma'am Rita and Sir HOMOBONO. Keep it up and Godspeed sa inyo po. Watching here from Capiz. Eduardo Garcia, good afternoon, Ma'am Rita and Sir Bono ADAZA, watching from Australia. Ana Galvez, good afternoon po, Ma'am Rita and Sir ADAZA. Hiel Paterno, happy birthday, Gilly. A vision may start with to build a just and humane society and establish a government that shall embody our ideals and aspirations. Very well said. This is our future, Bartap Nature. Conversion sa Longkong, may kabataan ngayon puro na brainwash na mga anti-Marcos maliban sa mga guided na mga magulang. Oh dear, someone was telling me that they will vote for Bongbong Marcos because their grandmother was loyalist, their mother was loyalist. Believe me, I come from that generation of great-grandmothers and grandmothers. That was a long, long time ago. But it was a period that we have been proud of. We lived through that period. And while others may be critical of it, we will stand by it. It is one of the best seasons and periods of our contemporary history. So with all of that, we'd like to thank all of you. And I'd like to thank Bono ADAZA, who disappeared somewhere as we were closing. But he will be our guest again as we get into the different factors that we put together what can make a good government for our future after the May 2022 elections. So thank you for having joined me, to all the people around the world, to everyone who has chatted and joined us. Not all of you that I could read, but then again, as I've said, we end our program with this prayer that we ask our Lord and our Mother Mary to guide us through this season of the pandemic, beyond politics, beyond all the different heartaches that we may have, beyond the mental anguish, and beyond all the confusion that some of us may suffer. Dear Lord, give us your wisdom and also your mercy, that we may be able to go through this season, both politically and also with the virus pandemic. Heal those that need healing, O Lord, and guide those that need guidance. Guide to the people who are running for public office so that they may realize how important it is for them to be able to come up with the best that they can give to the Filipino people. God bless all of you, and thank you for having joined me. This is Rita Gadi, and this has been your hour.